It's time for Waking Up with Wesley. Today's forecast and weather-wide discussion with WLOX First Alert Weather's senior meteorologist, Wesley Williams.
Waking Up with Wesley is sponsored by Exclusive Auto Brokers. For the best deals on wheels, visit Exclusive Auto Brokers on Beatline Road in Long Beach.
Hello there, South Mississippi. Thank you for waking up with Wesley. I'm Senior Meteorologist Wesley Williams. We're going to get into the forecast today, looking at some heat, some rain chances. Plus, I'm tracking a cool front that's coming in for the weekend that might help us to get some relief from these kind of conditions that are kind of giving a summer feel to the area. So, without further ado, let's get you right to the weather map. Our weather map for today, tracking a stalled front across the area. This front is one of the reasons why we keep seeing rain chances popping up day after day across parts of the south. Now, you look closely at this map, you'll notice kind of the blue colors over the Texas and Louisiana coast. That's because there is a storm complex that's located near the Texas coast, and it's going to be on a path toward the north and east. As that complex of storms moves toward the north and east, it could bring some steadier rain to parts of Louisiana. However, if it continues to move off toward the north and east, by the time it gets there into portions of Mississippi, it will be much later this evening or tonight, and some of it could be falling apart. So that's why when you zoom in, you notice these little splotches of purple near Baton Rouge, New Orleans, indicating heavier downpours, and then things turn a little bit spottier once you go a little bit more to the north and east of that. Notice that today is not a completely dry day for us in coastal Mississippi. Rain is possible. It might not come from that disturbance in Texas. It might just pop up overhead. We do have a futurecast that shows some of this as we go through this morning. Check it out, the modeling showing some rain-free hours in South Mississippi this morning. But then as we go to the afternoon, guess what? Some showers and storms start to pop up. You can see them right here, sometime around 3, 4, 5 p.m. pop-up storms in parts of South Mississippi. Meanwhile, tracking that Texas disturbance, which is continuing to move off toward the north and east. We'll see how much of that holds together, but it's a possibility that as that Texas disturbance gets closer to us, maybe it helps some more showers and storms to kind of develop along what's called a surface trough that will be nearby. So you can see that there's more and more rain on the map the deeper you get to Thursday, or rather Wednesday evening, Wednesday night, and Thursday morning. So we'll see how this all plays out. I will say, though, that there is some uncertainty with the exact model placement, exact model timing as far as the rain's concerned, because this type of pattern is not one that is very easily trackable by computer model forecasts. So the timing information, like for example, yesterday we were expecting storms to arrive in Biloxi around 9 in the morning or something like that, and they didn't get there until around 11 or noon. So that was sort of that uncertainty in the timing, and the same thing could happen today based on just the history of this week. Now, there you can see on the satellite and first alert radar of the last 12 hours that Texas storm complex continuing to become more and more widespread, and as it drifts off toward the east. I will say, though, if you remember this week, we've been talking about some severe weather a bit. On Memorial Day evening, there was a severe thunderstorm watch. On Tuesday, yesterday morning, there was another severe thunderstorm watch. And then last night, there was a severe thunderstorm watch 3 in just the first couple of days of this week. So to me, that was kind of overload. But as you can see, apparently there has been severe weather reported across the South and the Gulf Coast region. But if you look closely toward the Mississippi coast, you'll notice kind of this little bubble of protection that's, I guess, been on top of anywhere near coastal Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and even Florida. Basically anywhere between Baton Rouge and Pensacola. Haven't really seen many reports of severe weather. Maybe it has happened, but nobody reported it. You know, maybe it didn't happen to your house. Maybe it happened to a tree that was 50 miles out in the woods, and a tree fell in the woods and no one was there to see it, so maybe it didn't really fall, right? So yes, there is that sort of nuance, but in general, you see most of the storm reports in areas that were away from our Mississippi coast, anywhere from coastal Texas, Louisiana, Alabama, this whole region right here. Hundreds of severe weather reports. unlike what we've seen on our Mississippi coast. Now, I showed that over the last 72 hours to show you that guess what? There's another risk today. So when we watch this risk today, do we just disregard it because we've been spared in the past? I wouldn't think that's the best course of action. I think you should still take the severe weather risk seriously, but also understand that it works in probabilities. This is a level 1 out of 5. It's a very low probability of severe weather happening, but it's not 0. So at some point on Wednesday or Wednesday night, someone in that green zone could wind up with some strong wind gusts from a thunderstorm. Some of the thunderstorms could get strong enough to produce heavy downpours and frequent lightning. That will be at any time today or tonight, anytime between right now and 7 o'clock in the morning on Thursday. There's also a risk of flooding rain. This is a level 1 today. If I showed you tomorrow's map, it actually goes up to level 2. So again, at any point between now and 7 o'clock in the morning on Thursday, there is a very low probability, but not 0, for us to see flooding rain in South Mississippi or somewhere else in that green highlighted area. You just can't completely rule it out. Here's a look at the forecast for today. It's going to be a day that you might be kind of hoping for a little rain to help cool it off. Temperatures are going to go to the mid and upper 80s. I would not be surprised to see a couple of spots, maybe briefly touching the lower 90s. We are expecting the heat index to rise to about 100. So the heat index, as it closes in on 100, that's what makes it feel like summer. And it's really because of the mugginess. But I've got a sign of hope down the road that could help us find relief from all of that humidity. So before we get to that sign of hope, let's recap what we've covered today, how we've seen severe thunderstorm watches every day this week so far. Maybe today we'll make 3 days in a row. We'll see. And fortunately, even though we've had that risk of severe weather, the Mississippi coast has been spared each time. So hopefully that trend of us being spared, despite the risk, will continue today. What is certainly continuing today will be the heat and the rain chances. But once we get to the weekend, that's that sign of relief I hinted at earlier. A cool front could come in. So this is a look at that cool front as we track it. You can use dew points to track the cool front because drier air is always behind the front, muggier air is always ahead of the front. And as you can see on Wednesday, everyone's muggy. Dew points in the 70s on the Mississippi coast. So a dew point of 75 for your Wednesday. It's basically kind of gross. It's the super juicy air that is right on through the thick of summer. That's the type of humidity we have today. You go to tomorrow, we're still looking at dew points right there into the mid 70s right here in South Mississippi. But then the change. You can see that cold front, the blue line with the triangles coming in from the north, and that will usher in drier air. Notice the drier air, the lower dew points already hitting North Mississippi on Friday afternoon, and this is going to be traveling down toward the coast as we go to Friday night. And eventually, by Saturday, we'll get that noticeable change. So even though it will be muggy on Wednesday and Thursday, and certainly for the first half of Friday, eventually by Friday night and Saturday, we get lower humidity. So that's going to be something to look forward to if you have plans to be outside later this weekend. Saturday, Sunday, both appear to be pretty comfortable with less muggy air during the daytime hours. So that's a drier Saturday, pretty dry and comfortable Sunday. And then it starts to tick back up as we head into next week for Monday and Tuesday, and probably continuing into next Wednesday and Thursday and beyond. Here's our forecast into the next 7 days. You'll notice that we do have that steady heat, the steady rain chances as we head through today and tomorrow and Friday. But then on Friday, that cool front comes through and we'll see some rain chances as that happens. And then Friday night into Saturday, it turns drier. We wake up Saturday morning to 66 degrees for coastal areas like Gulfport, Biloxi. You're probably going to see 61 degrees. That's kind of cool. That's like considering long sleeves for the morning hours for inland areas to the north of I-10 like Wiggins and Perkinston. So keep that in mind for the weekend. Some cooler mornings for you on Saturday as well as on Sunday, and some pleasant lower humidity. I don't think it's going to be like super crisp like a winter day, but it will be less humid than whatever we have right now. but it doesn't last very long. The relief is brief because even though we get that dry wind from the north on Saturday, we're already beginning to pull in a muggy wind from the Gulf from the southwest on Sunday, and we keep that steady Gulf wind on Monday and Tuesday, that wind from the southeast, that wind from the Gulf, pulling the muggy air from the Gulf right back onto our coastline, and that will pretty much bring a quick end to those cooler mornings, making them milder back into the 70s, especially along the coast as we head into next week. Well, that'll do it for this Wednesday edition of Waking Up with Wesley. I've been Senior Meteorologist Wesley Williams. I hope that you have a good one. Take care. We'll see you again next time.
Waking Up with Wesley has been sponsored by Exclusive Auto Brokers. For the best deals on wheels, visit Exclusive Auto Brokers on Beatline Road in Long Beach.